But we also told you how to do the transition and talk about the Afro Barometer report. We'll do that in a bit with Dr. Asa Sante, Senior Lecturer with the Political Science Department at the University of Ghana. But before we do that, let's also run by you what's the latest we're getting from the striking teacher impasse, because the National Labour Commission has ordered the striking teachers to return to the classroom. Now, the three teacher unions, we have NAT, we also have the Coalition of Teachers, and then NAGRAT, have vowed to remain on strike till government pays them monies owed. Now, today, we'll be hearing from NAGRAT and the rest of the teacher unions, and also speak to Austin Game on the subject, and talking about Austin Game, the Labour consultant. He's on the line. Good morning to you, sir.
Good morning.
Yes, and now we're having this directive from the NLC, the Labour Commission. That's appropriate because it's coming from them, despite the position of the teacher unions?
Well, thank you so much. Well, it's normal on the part of the Labour Commission to direct, but often I do know that it's when they have engagement and a decision is reached or a settlement is reached, then they can direct. And when they direct, you really have to obey. Sometimes also, depending upon the circumstance, they can direct without necessarily having a meeting with you. So look, go back to work whilst you appear before us, and we endeavor to help you settle the differences you have. So it's often done, and it's their responsibility to find out what is appropriate at any given point in time.
But at the end of the day, such impasse, which would have been occasioned by disagreement, and especially with large labor groups like whether it's the health workers or teachers in this specific instance, would have grievances that would have been on the discussion table for long periods, just like this as well. So how then can we justify or synchronize what directive will be coming from the Labour Commission and the position that will be taken straitjacket by the unions, as we've seen in this disagreement?
But let me be very open and honest with you. I'm highly disappointed in this country regarding how we handle our labor relations matters. It appears we are not serious about it. If you take the case of even judiciary service, who are partially custodians of our laws, even Attorney General Department, when they are angry, they also do the same. When you go to lecturers who are supposed to be the teachers of the subject matter, it's really painful that we've come to this level. We have a law that is quite clear as to how the processes should be undertaken. It does appear as if employers are often not very, very serious. When a matter like this is on your hand and you do know it, why do you wait until the people actually began the action before you start running helter-skelter? That is firefighting. In labor relations, we don't take things for granted, especially when work stoppage can be quantified and the cost is enormous. And because maybe many do not know how to calculate the cost of labor rest and so forth and so on, that is perhaps the reason why, maybe because they are not going to pay directly from their own pockets. So I think that we need to be very, very careful going forward. But having said so, we can't be talking about split milk now. There is a problem on our hand. How do we resolve it? It's an appeal. The language usage must be watched carefully. If I listen to the people who are commenting either for or against, you can see that they are stoking fire. They are pouring fuel on the fire that is already inflamed. So people should tone down, learn how to speak, appeal to the conscience of the people who are a little upset about the situation, because it's not pleasant when you have worked for X number of years and you are not paid. Obviously, it's not pleasant. So it's about appealing to their conscience and not making matters worse. Either we'll replace you, we'll do this or do that. This is not a time to engage in such things. What they should do is to go. The Labour Commission has strength. the gentlemen and the ladies who are on the commission are good enough. They can sit with them and have a good conversation about the issues. This is not the time to force issues.
Does it mean that we can question the language of the Labour Commission, for example, or even the commentary, prior to even the directive from the Labour Commission, from those who are managing the various sectors, overseeing the teaching field for the employer, as not reconciliatory and empathetic?
Well, to be honest with you, I've been engaged in a lot of negotiation. I'm indoor. When I get out, then I hear that there is this controversy about this, and people have been calling. All I want to say is that so far what I've heard, the misapplication, the misuse of language is so bad. In our labor law, nobody has a right to say something is illegal unless the court. As a practitioner, I cannot even say, even the National Labour Commission may not be the people saying that your strike is illegal. It is only the court that can say something is illegal. So what they need to do is to rather find ways and means. If I were, to be honest with you, in the management shoe, we won't get to where we've got it to. To be very 100% honest with you, we won't get there. Would have prevented it, would have engaged the people. No matter how angry they are, language is the key. So they should learn it. They should stop talking about you are illegal, we are going to replace you. If you're going to replace me, these hundreds of thousands of people, you're going to replace them with who? So we need to find ways and means of engaging them and talking about it. I think the Labour Commission have the authority, they have the capacity. I do know the people who are there. They can engage them and they can talk it over. I heard yesterday they said because they were in Kumasi, they were unable to honor the invitation. What they need to do is to further appeal to them, go back to work, or appear before us. I think today is the last sitting day of the Labour Commission, of course, except emergency. So they should honor the invitation, and I appeal to the employers, both the ministry and other commentary people on this issue to stop stoking the fire. The Labour Commission can assist them.
Let me ask you this, because we'll hear from Nat very soon, but they've also been making commentary on the subject post the directive. The directive from the Labour Commission signed by Mr. Andy Kwabna Asamoah, who is the chair, and in 2 says that the commission in the exercise of the authority and make references to the sections of the Act, etc., and therefore the ongoing strike of the union is illegal. But that is at variance to what you just stated. What advice would you give the Labour Commission?
Well, I've met them several times. We've all talked about these issues. I think they do know it very well. I have a lot of respect and confidence in them. I think that in the near future, they should rather find ways and means of still insisting that they should come to the table. Particularly so when they said, because they were in Kumasi, all of them having meeting with their people, hence they could not honor the invitation. They should send them another invitation, especially today being Wednesday, that they will come before them. Face-to-face talking is different from when letters are being exchanged. They can honor you, they may not honor you. The commission has the last resort. They know how to do. They know where to go to enable them, compel them to appear before them. In fact, indeed, I want to make appeal. Any group of people that are invited by the National Labour Commission is not a choice on the part of those parties not to appear or to appear. You don't have a choice. You have to appear before the Labour Commission because it's the authoritative body set under the law to listen and hear labor-related matters. I appeal that language we should be mindful of its use. But having said so, the teacher unions should feel free and go to the Labour Commission. They have one of the finest people who know how the practice is about, and they will assist them to resolve the difference. They will not support the employer. They will not support them also. There will be a facilitator in the matter.
Well, thank you very much. Mr. Austin Game is a labor consultant, also runs Austin Game and Game consultancy. That's the mediation consultancy. And ultimately, we have to transition and speak to Mr. Daniel Afedu, who was in the studio yesterday, but he's the Deputy General Secretary for NAT in charge of administration. Good morning to you, Mr. Afedu. You had Mr. Austin Game there. He says you all feuding factions, both the employer and you, on one side, need to keep your doors open.
After that, there are 2 minutes.
Mr. Afedu? Mr. Afedu?
Yeah.
Good morning to you.
Good morning, sir.
Yes. Okay. Now, Mr. Austin Game is advising that you, the employees and the employer, as well as even the Labour Commission, you have to keep your doors open. What do you make of the directive from, or the communication from the NLC on your strike?
Thank you very much, and good morning to your listeners. Yes, we received the letter from the NLC yesterday. As we speak, we have summoned a meeting among the unions with our legal team this morning. We'll meet, and as soon as we are done, we'll communicate our next line of action to you, please.
Ah, okay. So you're calling off the strike then?
No, please. I haven't said that. We are going to
what are you saying?
meet. We are going to meet. They have given us, we have received a directive from them. And you know, the strike was called by the 3 teacher unions. So any decision regarding that must be taken in unison. So all of us are going to meet this morning. Then, of course, this borders on legality and all issues. We also need to get some legal counsel. And this is what we are going to do this morning. As soon as we are done, we'll make our decision public.
But once the NLC says your strike is illegal, you should have a certain position on the subject, beyond just going to meet your legal team and going to consult with the other 2 unions with whom you're on the strike with.
Yes, because you see, we have all done it together. One union cannot just say we have called it off, or because it was a collective decision we announced that this has been done. So if you want to take any decision regarding the strike, it will be premature for anybody. Besides, I'm not even the one to speak. I think it is my boss who should, and he has asked that when there is any one cause, we should give this information that we are pleading that they just give us some time for all of us to compare.
All right. Let me ask you this, Mr. Afedu. How long have you been with NAT?
I have worked with NAT since 1995.
Okay, so since 1995, that presumably is around 24 years. You're very much familiar with the National Labour Act, aren't you?
Oh, yeah, Roland, yes, I would see that we wouldn't want to discuss all these things this morning because we have gone past all these procedures. That's why I'm saying that, yes, there is an impasse, kind of, and we are pleading that we will have a meeting and take a decision. Okay. That will be fine with everybody.
I'll leave it there. Since you said I shouldn't ask my next question, I'll leave it there. Yes. Mr. Daniel Afedu, Deputy General Secretary for the Ghana National Association of Teachers in charge of administration, thank you for responding to us. At least we're grateful that you responded. That's it. They're going to consult the other unions, and then we have the National Association of Graduate Teachers on one hand, and then also the Coalition of Concerned Teachers, Ghana. Okay. So then they make up around 200,000, we're told, of the membership across the country. We'll see what message they have for us at the end of the day. But meanwhile, the strike is continuing across all schools. They are not in the classrooms, despite the directive or the letter from the National Labour Commission. But that's where we have to do the transition for our next discussion.